Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel Copycat Ram. This is Ram and today I have brought another video for you. This video is going to be the extension of my last video that I had created on drag and drop. So if you have missed to watch my last video, I will recommend you go and watch the first part. In the last video, I have shown you that how we have used input type file element behind the upload button. Clicking on that, we have triggered out the input type file element, and actually it was doing all of the our work like selecting or getting the files item and rendering it on the screen. In this video, we are going to do our actual logic, that is drag and drop. So let us start one by one. So first thing is that here I want to do that whenever I drag some items on this container, I want to first highlight the container that it is going to capture something in it. So while dragging items on it, I would like to change the border color green from the red. So for this, here I am going to use a event that is on drag over. So let me open this, and here I am going to assign a function that will be invoked whenever we will pull out or we drag some items over the container. So on drag over handler is the function that I am going to initiate whenever items will be dragged over the container. So let me copy it and let's here create the function. So what we wanted to change the border color of the container. So the container is the drag and drop wrapper. This is the main element where we had applied this border color. So we want to change this container's border color. So first, to have the element, to target the element here, first I am going to take reference of the element. So for that, here I am going to attach ref container ref, and for that here we need to first use the reference use ref hook of the so here we need to use the use ref hook of the React. So here I'm going to use ref, and by default it's going to be set to be the null. Now the thing is that this is the function that actually is going to be invoked whenever we will drag some items over the container. So while dragging the items on the container, we want to change the border color. So here I am going to taking the reference of the container. So here first I am going to write a logic: if element exit, then element dot current dot style dot border color equal to green. So let me save and let us check out whether it is working or not. So here is the one image. So here I am going to drag the file on the container. So you can see that as soon as I drag the item on the container, the border have turned to the green. Okay, so let me increase the border width so that we can understand that so that you can see that the border changes. So instead of 1 pixel, here I am going to change it to 4 pixel. Let me save. Now refresh. Now again let me select an image and drag it to the container. So as soon as I pull or drag items on the container, you can see that the border have turned to the green. So right now the function is invoking correctly. Now let us do the next thing. The next thing is that now as soon as we will move out of this container, the border again need to be turned to the red. So for this, here I am going to use another event that will give us that will help us to invoke a function. So whenever we were dragging, at that time on drag over will be invoked, but as soon as uh, we move out of the container while holding the items, then on drag leave function will be invoked. So let us call a function over here on drag leave handler. So let us create the function. So this is the function that actually going to be invoked whenever our items get out of the container. So here again we need to take the reference of the container, and instead of the green we need to set it back to the red. So here instead of green, here I'm going to set it to the red. Now let me save, refresh, and let us again try by dragging items on the container. So here I have selected an image. Now as soon as I go inside the container, it is turned to the green. Now as soon as I come out of the container, now you can see that the border have turned again to the red. So at the time of in it is green, at the time of out it is now red. So right now our both logic is working properly. Now the next thing is that we want to capture the items if we drop or release files inside the container. So for that, here again I am going to use another event that is on drop. So this is the actual event that is going to be called, and this will help us to invoke another function that will be responsible to handle whenever we will drop items inside the container. So here on drop handler is the function that I'm going to create, and that will be invoked at the time of dropping items. So now let us console log our event and let us see that what are the objects that we are getting in it. So let me here console dot log e. Now so here I have cleared the console, and let me drop the item once again so that we can see that what the actual output is over here. So here you can see the synthetic base event, and inside this we have data transfer object, and if we expand this, then you will find that we have files key inside the data transfer, and this is the actual the object that we want to have, and this object will help us to do our rest of the thing. So let us code. So here what I'm going to do, here I'm going to extract the files. So files equal to event dot. So files is the main object inside the data transfer that holds all the information about the items that we have dropped inside the container. So let us console log again, and let us see what it actually showing inside, what actually data it have. Now console log files. Now here I am refreshing it. Let me select a item and let us see what happens. So here I am dropping the item. Now you can see that we have file list object, and it have the data or the information about the items that we have dropped. So it is here showing the name of the image and the type of the data or type of the image over here. So this is the actual data we need to do our further work. Okay, so let us do our stuff with this data. So in the last video we have seen that after getting the items we were running a loop, and after running the loop we were transferring or pushing the data to the set file selected useState object. And this is the actual useState variable which was responsible to print the data on the screen. So again we have now, again as the last time, we have the files that was coming from the event.target, but this time we have data inside the data transfer. So rest of the thing is going to be same. So let me copy this, and here what I am going to do, here I am going to write the same logic. So now again we have the files array, and again we are running loops over the items that we have got from the console log that we have seen, and that is coming from the data transfer while dropping the items inside the container. Okay, and after doing this we are pushing the items to this constant variable, and at the end we are setting this to and at the end we are setting this to the set file selected. Okay, and after this again you can see here that we have dropped the item, but still the border is showing in the green. So here we need to do one another thing, is that we need to set it to back to the red. So here again I am going to copy this reference logic, that if the elements exist then we want to set the border color back to the red. Now let us save and see what actually happening over here. So here this time I am going to select two images, and let me drag and drop. Now as soon as I drag and drop, now you can see that we have two items on our screen, and again you can see that after we have dropped, the border again have turned to the red. Now let me show you once again. Whenever items are inside the container, the border is green. Without dropping the items, we move out of the container, then it again turns into the red. But if we release the item inside the container, then it is showing the name of the item and the border is again set to the red. So here all our logic is working perfectly. So till now whatever we wanted to do, we have completed our task. So let me revise the code once again so that you can understand. And if you have missed my last video about the drag and drop, then this may help you to rewind the things. So till now what we have done, we have implemented on button click. On button click we can select items directly from here. If we open this, then we can see that we are printing the name of the items that we have selected. So how was this working? For this we have attached a button click handler to this button that was firing on the button click, and beside this button we have created a input type file element, and this was firing whenever clicking the upload button. How? We have taken the reference of the file element, and whenever we were clicking, we were invoking the input type file element behind the scene. So this was the logic input file ref dot current dot click. So this was the actual responsible which was triggering out the input type file element. So whenever it was triggering, we were able to open the file explorer, from where we were able to select the items. Once items get selected, we here have written a function on selection of file that was get invoked whenever items get selected. And inside this we have extracted the files from event.target files objects, and after getting the objects we were running loop over the items and we were pushing out to the set file selected. This file selected is again were mapped on the screen to print the name of the items. So here you can see that I have written file selected.map, and here we were printing the name of the items that we have selected. And to the cross button we had attached a remove item function that was receiving index as an argument, and based on this index we were filtering out the items from the set file selected. So this was helping us to remove the items if we click on the cross button. So this was the all over the logic that we have created in part 1 and part 2.